If you like what you hear in this podcast and want to help us keep the lights on, then you could support us on Ko-fi for as little as a £1 one-off donation. The links are in the episode description. Thanks for your support. This is Skipped, the show where we tell you, in our opinion, which albums are unskippable and which ones belong in the skip. I'm Mike.
I'm Rob.
And this week we're talking about Blonde by Frank Ocean, released in 2016. This suggestion comes from Cameron.
Yep. He's one of my work colleagues, and he said that he remembered this music being a bit of a soundtrack for him. He said that Frank Ocean's original album, Channel Orange, came out when he was 13, and Blonde came out when he was 16, 17, so they had a lot of early road trips, camping trips, and parties somewhere in the background. So this is like the sound of his youth, of his teenage years.
Makes me feel old, I'll tell you that. If the 2016 is the sound of your youth.
Yeah, we're just two old men just talking about music we don't understand.
Too old to be hip music critics, which is why we've made a dumb meme show. So, no, it's interesting. If you would like one of your unskippable albums to be considered in the opinion of two aging white blokes, capital H, please send that over to us at skippedpod@gmail.com. That's SKIPD, drop that E, at gmail.com. But Cameron, your album is up on the chopping block this week. This is Frank Ocean's Blonde. What we didn't do last time, because it was albums that we're very familiar with, was go into a little bit of history as to where this album kind of came out in, the lie of the land, in the genre, in the charts. And you've got some notes up, Rob. You're going to tell us a little bit more about what the kind of landscape was when Blonde finally came out. Because I understand there was a long wait for this album.
Yeah, so this, as I say, was the second album, follow-up to Frank Ocean's 2013 release. This originally supposed to be a concept album called Boys Don't Cry and was teased for July 2015, but there were plenty of delays and it ended up coming out in 2016, and they said it was down to a period of writer's block and ended up being recorded in some incredible studios such as Abbey Road. Don't really know of many rap albums being recorded in Abbey Road.
It doesn't sound common.
No, it sounds expensive.
And I would expect that the rapper Common also did not record any music there. That was a dumb joke. I told you this was a stupid meme show.
Yep, 100%. The interesting thing for me about this album is that it only ever had one single release.
Yeah, that's something that becomes quite evident because this album be long. It's, I want to say 17 tracks, 19 tracks, something like that. It's a long boy. It's the first album that we've looked at on this show. Admittedly, it is only the third one, but it's the first one that breaks the hour-long mark.
Only by 8 seconds.
Only by 8 seconds. It
still breaks the hour mark.
Give me this. It's a milestone. It broke something. Now, I am not a rap person. I am not particularly an R&B person, and that's precisely why I'm glad that we're covering this kind of stuff. I feel like one of the things about this show is that, you know, me and you basically grew up on the same music. And now we get to experience other people's music that they grew up with and challenge our kind of approach to what makes a good record. Because ultimately, it's the albums we're interested in. It's what was the artistic intent? Is it full of bangers? This is the stuff we want to know. And picking from other genres is going to be a lot of fun. So I have zero history with this record.
I have zero history with this record as well. I'd never actually listened to Frank Ocean. When I said this at work, quite a few people went, "Oh, like you've never listened?" Like, no, it's never been my type of music. As when I was getting to like 2016, 2017, my taste had very much changed again, and I'd gone back into the heavier side of music, and just the popular releases just seemed to skip me by.
And this was popular. It got to number 1 on the UK albums charts. It didn't, I mean, year end, I think it ended up as I'm reading it off a screen here, I'm not going to pretend like I'm remembering it. It ended up as the 87th best-selling album in the UK of that year. It did get to number 1 on the week of release. So this is obviously quite clearly popular.
Yeah, it's got rave reviews. I mean, the majority of outlets gave it at least 3.5 to 4 stars, if not higher. With The Observer The Guardian giving it 5 out of 5. Which is quite incredible considering that they usually have terrible taste.
I don't know if, I was about to say that I don't know if the Guardian music review is high praise. I'm pretty sure they'll give 5 stars at anything that leans remotely in their political favour. The album as a whole, we'll do a little very quick overview, what we thought about on our first listens, actually, because I had to go back through this a couple of times. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think I did about 6 or 7 full listens.
Yeah, and it's a long listen. It was a struggle, I will say that, because it's a genre I'm not particularly that interested in or have that much experience with. So I think something that this, on the surface to me, appears this avant-garde and out there and vulnerable is not what I picture when I picture people like Frank Ocean. And by that, I mean the kind of the collective that he's involved with, such as people like Tyler, the Creator, who's very, like, comfortable.
Yeah, very different type of music.
Oh, totally.
When you listen to them side by side, and you can see the influences between the two, but they're both very different artists in their own right.
Subversive in different ways as well. Tyler kind of appears to troll the media a bit more, which I really like.
And uses characters to like try and push him a bit harder, where Frank Ocean is really just putting himself all out on the line and going, this is me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I heard on this record, right? This, as far as I can tell, and again, I have to activate my media analysis mode that everybody hates so much. It's got to be his story, right? This has to be, as far as I can tell, about his childhood.
Coming from the heart, coming from his view on the world as it is right now, and his view of the past and what to expect.
It's interesting because the more I was listening to it, the more I kind of got a sense that this album is deeply rooted in nostalgia for something. And it took me a few listens to finally get to the core of what that is. But to begin with, I was like, this appears to be an album about growing up. This appears to be an album about emotional kind of instability. So maybe I guess when you're a teenager and you're first starting to, like, you notice that girls exist, and that's probably where this album was deeply rooted.
Well, if any album is going to give you a real example of a concept album, I think this is going to be the case. This is going to be it, where it's from start to end, the entire album is an experience rather than just a couple of tracks put together, which is why I think the fact that only one single released is an odd choice, but works so well for the album because he didn't need to put multiple tracks out and do the usual press run where he's highly publicizing it on every radio station, every which way, to be able to get popularity on this. Like, he did a lackluster release, if anything. Like, it just, the hype is what sold this album. He didn't have to sell it personally.
Well, the hype's him, isn't it?
The hype is him and his releases, and they're so, like, few and far between that when he does release something, people jump at it because, in his own way, he is an incredible songwriter.
We're talking about songwriting, so I feel like it's a good time to kind of transition on to what we think is the best song on the record before we kind of talk about whether we think this works as a package. So individually, what did you kind of single out as your favourite track?
So mine's between 3.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, 3 tracks. So I had Pink and White, Self-Control, and Godspeed.
Okay. I did not expect to see something that's that far down the track list on the best list. Maybe that's indicating how I felt about this. I agree with you on Pink and White. I think it is a warmer song. It's clearly something, it's about a good memory before you get into that back half of the album, and it appears to be slightly more traumatic. This could have been a single. Realistically, I think this could and should have been a single. I made some notes about this as I was going through multiple listens. I just layered notes upon notes, and Pink and White is the only one where I didn't write anything negative. It's a really good track. It's kind of got that late 90s, early 2000s kind of, I don't want to say like limited soundscape because it isn't limited. It's a very warm, inviting piano-led track. I don't know why I was getting like Lovely Day vibes, even though that's a song that is nowhere in the same wheelhouse as what's going on here. But I think that deep root in nostalgia kind of really comes to the forefront here. Something, it feels like a rose-tinted version of some relationship he was in at the time.
Well, I used to listen to a lot of like R&B when I was growing up as a kid. You say we had similar music taste growing up. You would not have thought I would be listening to what I was listening to on my my Walkman.
Did you come to emo much later then?
Yeah, when I was like 13, 14.
Way.
I grew up listening to drum and bass, garage, and R&B.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I had bald head until I was like 12.
A bald? What?
I had bald head.
You've always had...
I had just a fringe. No word of a lie.
I would pay to see that.
I have photos somewhere. I will find them.
Please do.
Yeah, so this was very reminiscent of like early 2000s R&B for me, like, or like even earlier, like late 90s R&B, like Boys to Men sort of style. I think like there's deep Motown roots in this sort of song, and I'm here for it. I could listen to that sort of stuff all day, every day, and not get bored. Like, I love a good bit of piano. I love like really gentle, soft, like backing tracks, and I think that works so well. It was kind of like lo-fi-esque as well.
Yeah, I hear a bit of that. I think realistically, if you'd kind of sandwich this in between two Lighthouse Family songs and put it through an old crappy hi-fi, I probably couldn't have told you the difference.
Forever.
It wasn't quite that like retro nostalgic, because I think Frank Ocean is a younger man than us, which makes me feel awful. But I got that sense of familiarity. I like to analyze the lyrics. I don't know whether that's something you did on this one.
Not really, no.
No, fair enough. There's some kind of imagery about rebirth that, to me, is coming through quite strongly. It's slightly confusing. Maybe he's talking about rebirth in the sense of reliving something. It's not necessarily that he feels reborn. It's that he has found a new perspective on this particular time in his life, which is interesting. It's a sophomore album, as the Americans say. It is his second one. So you do a bit more self-analysis when you do that. To do that at a time where you normally think back and cringe about what you did when you were a teenager, or beforehand, as it were, with your ridiculous fringe. But, sorry, I didn't mean to call out your hairstyle.
Wow.
Quite that bad. I haven't even seen it. And I'm just going, yeah,
it is bad.
That shit sucked. But there's something there that feels bittersweet. It's quite a beautiful, easy listening track. And yet there's still a darkness there. I don't know whether that came across to you or not.
Yeah. The dark overtones, I think, are what cement the music to show that it's not always positive. Like, even some of the most positive experiences in the songs have a dark overtone to, like, show the reality of life. No part of life is all rainbows and sunshine.
No.
Like, regardless of how rose-tinted your glasses are, there is always something that's, like, dark and negative, which is going to pull you back to reality. And I think that's kind of discussed, especially in that sort of track. Yeah,
and it kind of becomes more solidified the further down you go and the more discordant the music becomes. But that's the point where I feel like it was in that proper fuzzy space. It was invited. It was a track that you could just very easily listen, as Cameron said, listen to on a road trip. That really fits the vibe. I'm worried that that's the last positive thing I'm going to say in this episode. I really do apologize.
Well, I will continue then.
Okay, so, please do.
Godspeed for me.
Okay.
I love that track. I know you said that you were surprised to see a track from lower down the album in my list. I think he's got a very soulful voice, very beautifully written song, and it's nice to hear like a change in the cadence as well. Like, he goes from being able to sing really melodically and well without any auto-tune to like heavier rap segments. It's just really well put together song, and I could listen to that on its own.
But like, you pick that one out.
I'd pick that one out, yeah. That's very much my type of music.
I mean, surprising. I will say that, very surprising. I kind of felt like Godspeed fell into that in the back half of the album, where I think the tonal shift has occurred. We're into the darker, heavier stuff. Godspeed sits between Siegfried and Futura Free. I hope that's how you pronounce it. I think it's in spelt the same way as the font, right? Those three just bled into one. I felt like Godspeed was just Siegfried, which is the track that comes before it, but with more gospel. And I kind of got the impression that was at the point of the album where whatever, and I don't wish to say this disparagingly, because I think it genuinely feeds into the narrative of what he's trying to tell us in this album. I think Godspeed represents the point at which your sad, morose weed smoking session to get you to escape from the dark reality that you're in finally hits you, because there's a lot of space in that song. It feels very kind of, I don't want to say wide open, but there's room, and it's room that doesn't feel freeing. It's room that feels empty, and I don't know whether that's intentional or whether it is just trying to drag the runtime of this album out.
I think he's done it purposely. He's put this track towards the end because it's got sort of religious sort of sound to it.
Yeah, that's what I thought with like the kind of the organ stuff.
And like a gospel singer like included in the mix. and it's like pulling it to a natural close. It's not always going to be fast paced. It's not always going to be like over the top and incredibly melodic. There's always going to be that sort of track that needs to pull you back down to earth, and it's like coming to a slow conclusion. It's kind of like you've had a curve where you've gone grow, 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 and then you start to go slowly back down, and this is the sort of point where you're starting to come back down to that natural end and find the place that you want to finish. I think that's maybe why he did it. It's like I couldn't think of anywhere else in the album where that song could go.
I mean, I hadn't thought about moving things around. When you put together an album like this, you're trying to say something this out there, something this different in the space that it was dealing with. Because we were just looking up before the start of the episode, the competition this year in terms of where it was in the genre. There was a Kendrick album that year. There was a Drake album that year. Regrettably, there was a Kanye album that year.
Tyler, the Creator
did have an album out there, so it's all good. I don't feel like any of those records would have had something this low paced. You know what I mean? Something that I don't want to say drags, because I feel like that's not giving it a fair chance.
Those artists are very different to Frank Ocean.
Sure.
Like, they all excel in just purely rap. Like, some of them will have like singing segments, but I feel like with those albums, like I've listened to quite a few of them without even realizing, they're done to get sales, where this was like, I'm putting my heart out on my sleeve. This release means a lot to me. It took me 3 years to make. I've had to like battle through writer's block. I've had to do this, and this to get this recorded. It's not just that, that's fine.
I might be misremembering, but I'm fairly certain that this is the track where he actually says, this is my therapy and people are paying me to do it. That line did actually strike me as the point, if you know what I mean. The point of this record was, listen, within my nostalgia, there is trauma, and I had to put it all down, or I wouldn't be given a true reflection of where I am.
Life isn't always happy.
True.
There are downward spikes. Like, there's going to be parts of your childhood where you look back and you don't look back fondly, but it shaped you into the person you are today. If he doesn't reflect that, then it's an untruthful version of himself.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I struggled with the sound. I'll be real, I'll be upfront, I struggled with the sound of this album the whole way through, outside of the easier listening style things at the start of the album, because it's just not a genre I'm familiar with. It's like asking me to eat caviar. It's like I can tell you why it's important to listen to it. I can tell you how people can find it enticing, decadent. I can't tell you I like caviar. And that's the problem. I'm inherently trying to evaluate the artistic integrity of something that I'm finding it difficult to connect with. Although the general themes of just going, maybe my childhood, maybe the nostalgia, the bit that I have, sweet and sour opinions on, that's the point. It's not just, my childhood was great and I remember this, it was great. It's like, my childhood was a mixed bag. And there are going to be points where I had traumatic experiences and points where I felt bad and points where I did stupid things. And Godspeed gets a little bit of that, although it feels more evaluative of the whole thing, because it's like, looking back on it, I have to come back to, did I enjoy listening to it? And it's like, that last three of that album, the Seek Free, Godspeed, Futura Free, I was like, this is the same track 3 times over. And I'm like, this, when you're like padding an essay.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But at the same time, I think it was purposely done to try and bring it to a natural end, rather than just going...
I mean, I get that, but we don't need fucking Lord of the Rings, do we? Like, that movie ends like 5 times before it turns off.
I've never watched Lord of the Rings.
Thank Christ isn't a film podcast.
I got through the first 25 minutes of The Fellowship and got bored of the hairy-footed man carrying things.
You didn't get out of the fucking cider festival at the start.
No, I was that bored. I just turned it off and never went back. And then realised that it was like 7 hours or something like that to watch.
Yeah,
like
if you watch
2
all
films.
of them. 3, not 2.
Depends on the extended cut.
7 hours to watch 2. Yeah, good point. Yeah. This isn't a film podcast, thank God for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I'd be lynched if this was a film podcast. But going away from that, I think what would be interesting to see is if you listen to a few more albums of this sort of vein, and then came back to this, say, 6 months later, after listening to some more of this, like, sort of more urban genre, whether your view would change.
That would be interesting. If you would like to hear that, please do email us. I've already told you at the email address, skippedpod@gmail.com, if you want us to do retrospective revisits, because that would be interesting, especially because, again, I don't think this is typical for the genre. I don't think there's going to be records like this from artists like this that are this open.
Yeah.
And open is the word I want to use. We'll talk about worst tracks now. And you pick 3 for your best. So, like, where are you sitting on the bad end of this scale?
Well, once again, I think I'm in a different area to you. I've only picked one track that I really didn't like.
Fair enough.
And that was Skyline 2.
Okay.
I just could not get on with that song. I just do not know why. It just riled me up the wrong way. I base all of it on when I'm running and songs that I can listen to while I'm running.
Mm.
And I was just listening to it. I was like, this is just so damn boring. It's just, the lyrics are just a bit bleh. The song's just a bit, it's just not very me. And I don't mind whether the songs are slower. I don't mind whether the songs are faster. I will I give anything a good chance and give it a good listen to. But like 3 or 4 times I got to this song and went, oof, I can't. I think that it's just that one song really got to me. There are a couple of others on there a bit like hit and miss, but I still enjoyed them. It's like looking through the track list now. Originally, White Ferrari, I listened to that and I was a bit like, bit odd, bit of an odd song. But once I got into it and listened to the beat and got with the beat, I was like, this is a decent song. And maybe some of the recordings as well, like the Facebook story, which was a bit odd.
I mean, French bloke, so automatic 0 out of 10. But
yeah,
other than that,
a French man talking about how his girlfriend dumped him because he didn't want to add her on Facebook.
Yeah.
Simple solution, add her on Facebook.
Simple solution, add her on Bebo.
Yeah. Go to MySpace.
Yeah.
It's full of music now.
Add her on LinkedIn, keep things professional.
Exactly. Give her a handshake and say thank you very much for this proposition.
Yes, well done. Congrats on the sex.
Yeah, congratulations. Oh no, you've been terminated. Yeah, so there are a couple of tracks, like the recordings were a bit like, I can see why they're on there because, again, it is a concept album, but I could have done without them. But other than that, really, other than the auto-tune on Nikes, then I didn't really not enjoy many tracks on the album. And I think that's going to feed into what you're going to say is your worst track.
But you mentioned Nikes, or Nikes, as the Yanks say. I thought this was dismal shite. And I tell you precisely why I felt that way. It is the stupid Alvin and the Chipmunks tone-up voice that this song greets you with. This is the opening number. This is the single.
The only single.
The only single. So my introduction to Frank Ocean was with that ridiculous Akon "Lonely I Am So Lonely" horse shit. So immediately I've got a sour taste in my mouth. I don't know whether that is the point, but I did not like it. I thought the beat was boring. I thought the fact that he rhymed mermaid with the word mermaid, not once, not twice, but thrice. I'm like, I know you're a better songwriter than this.
Mermaid.
3 actual times. Was the high voice supposed to be from
his past?
Oh, it's a child's perspective.
Yes.
I got the impression it was the perspective from, like, a woman that he dated at some point. I know he's bisexual and he could have been a guy.
It's supposed to be, from what I've been told, a version of his younger self that he's talking to, introducing the album. So in the auto-tune in that song then feeds into the present day.
Got it. Okay.
Still doesn't make you like it anymore.
No, I still don't. I would still skip it every time to get straight to Ivy. I see no reason to listen to Nikes whatsoever. Also, the lyric, I'm presented without context. My balls sticking to my jeans. No further comment needed. Now, White Ferrari feeds into why I like this song so little. Because it's not just the boring beat. It's not just the poor introduction to his vocal styles, his writing abilities. It's the fact that I thought the song was going in one direction, and it took me until White Ferrari. Quite embarrassingly, it took me until White Ferrari to realise, even though I think this is an album that's mostly about nostalgia, I think it's also an album that is pretty much always about a breakup. And I'm like, oh no, it's just another breakup album. So when I came back round to listen to it again, I think it took me to the third listen to make that realization. So I come back round, I'm like, right, I guess this is the song about talking to a partner of somebody else, and instead of being somebody who is broken up with, somebody who is initiating a breakup. But given how the rest of the album goes, is it that there's an inherent kind of depression underneath all that? And then I'm like, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to debate whether or not that there is complex emotions to, the idea of recalling one's youth, the idea of being a bad person when you're young, whilst I've got Alvin and the Chipmunks serenading me about trainers. And I can't get away from that. And I just don't think it's good. And I really want to skip it every time. I really had to persevere because it's not a short track. It's 5.5 minutes? And I don't enjoy any of it. And then you get to good shit, and it's the gatekeeper to my enjoyment every time I was listening to it.
Well, apparently people must think that your opinion is wrong, because Billboard actually ranked Nike's as number 28 on their 100 best pop songs of 2016.
What the fuck, dude? You all heard it.
And they listed it as number 25 of 100 of their best songs of 2016.
My Christ. I don't think it's that deep, guys.
It's really not that deep. I mean, yeah, I can understand he's talking about his queer aesthetic as it's so put on Wikipedia. And I think it'd be much better without the auto-tune. And as you say, his lyrics were a bit lackluster for that song.
There are different ways that if you're doing this whole dual narrators thing, you can do this in different ways. Again, you are just exposing that I hate auto-tune. Especially because I think he's a good vocalist, right?
He's a great vocalist. And I think maybe he doesn't give himself props, but there's just something about this song that does rub me up the wrong way as well. Originally, it was exclusively on Apple as well, which is...
That's a release strategy if ever I heard one.
I think you'd be better off releasing it on LimeWire or somewhere like that nowadays.
Woo, it's exclusive to Napster.
Sweet. Get Lars on the phone. But it's not one that I'd go to, where I think songs like Godspeed, Self-Control, and Pink and White, I'd actively choose to listen to.
You definitely came off a lot more positive.
Yeah.
Just enjoying yourself. Because I will say that I wasn't enjoying myself, which is half the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's your first foray into this genre of music, so it's a hard listen for your first one. Like, there are some incredible like Motown soul artists that have a similar vibe to this that I think you'd appreciate a lot more. Maybe that's just me trying to come up with an excuse to listen to it again in future.
Maybe. The thing that we're interested in is, does it work as a whole? So how's the flow for you?
I like the flow. I mean, I think it starts off slowly and progresses to like a mid-album crescendo and then starts to fade back down again. So it's like a curve or perfect spiral, whatever it's called.
A bell curve.
Bell curve, that's the one. I'm not very good with shapes. And I think it progresses really well. I mean, the voice notes break the album up a fair bit, and I could see that in a live show being a great place to have like a bit of a vocal breather, or a bit of a place to play a little bit of video, make it into like a concept show. But overall, I think the album flows quite well, and I think as a concept album as a whole, considering that there's only one single release, it works.
I want to agree. What I feel like, though, is the album, it functions more like a stream of consciousness than it does a defined artistic effort. It doesn't feel planned and executed. It feels like it genuinely is somebody remembering stuff and is like going, oh, and I forgot to introduce that bit, and I forgot to introduce this bit.
Like when your parents come back from holiday and they've got all these stories about the incredible things they've done, and go, oh yeah, I went on a camel. Oh, also I went on a hot air balloon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we also lost all of our luggage at the airport. Like, wait, why didn't you start with that one?
Yeah. Somebody died on the flight. Anyway, you got to hear about the intercontinental breakfast.
It was great.
Yeah. Like, okay.
They had muffins.
So they had this album is someone died, but they had muffins. And again, I've already used the kind of the adage that it's like caviar. I don't feel like I have the deep enough understanding of the genre, the culture, a lot of things. Again, I am capital H white as well, and I'm conscious that could also feed into perhaps I don't have the same experiences of growing up in these particularly troubling and traumatic for some people. Certainly, if I'm reading Frank's lyrics correctly, it was traumatic childhood for him. And I don't have that. I'm far too white bread and boring. So you have to take everything that I say with that context.
Especially considering that the sort of music that your parents used to listen to was like D-Ream and stuff like that as well. Like,
no, my dad's musical taste stopped at 1989 specifically. The 80s never ended. He likes Yazoo and the Human League, and that's basically about it.
What about Shawaddy Waddy?
I don't know. Thankfully, never seen a Shawaddy Waddy CD anywhere. And then my mum was like, it's Bon Jovi and Whitesnake and Rainbow. So, like, completely separate wheelhouse to this. The closest we got to this kind of music in our house would probably have been... Oh, God. That's a good question. Like, dare I say, it's not even anywhere close, but the only rap elements that came to any of my kind of younger listening habits was Linkin Park.
Oh,
so,
wow.
nu metal is not in the same wheelhouse as this, but it's the first time that it kind of challenged those conventions. But we're not here to talk about Linkin Park. Right, I think the album is discordant, whether by nature or by accident, and that can be a good thing. I think it's experimental, and I think it's experimental enough to warrant some attention and praise. But I don't know if this is an album that you are supposed to do what I did, which was sit down and actively listen to it.
Great road trip album.
It's a great road trip album.
Which I could see because you're not actively listening, it's just good backing music.
Yeah.
Similar to me, with On a Run, there were quite a few songs where you didn't really have to feel for the lyrics, you could just hear the beat or hear the flow of the lyrics and go, oh yeah, this is really good like pace for me.
And that's the question though, because I tried to find meaning, and I do think that there is some. But is this just background noise to a run, a stoner sesh, or is this meant to be this, Frank Ocean sitting down in the chaise longue and telling you about his troubled childhood? Because if it is that, why didn't I feel like it was more impactful?
Well, if you listened, instead of this, an album come out the same year, Kano's Made in the Manor.
I think you said, oh, Kano, we were looking up before the show started, and I was like, oh, So this guy is, you said he was a grime artist.
Yeah, from London, produced
As
Made in the Manor 2016. So same year as this album dropped, but he gives his take from a UK perspective as well. Similar sort of thing, but probably like a more steady BPM. I think everything for grime is like 120 to 140 BPM. So keep a constant sort of speed. But listening to his music instead of like Frank Ocean, I'd always go to something like Kano, where it's got, for me, a better beat, better rhythm all round as a full album. And the stories in the album just work better. And he isn't trying to rhyme the same word with the same word. And there is no mention of the word mermaid in any of his songs.
Not that I'm particularly anti-fish person. It's just...
I am.
Yeah, screw those scaly guys. There were elements that felt very intentional and very like, this is what I'm trying to tell you, and bits that felt lazy. And I think it's the lazy bits and the bits that are just too discordant to enjoy that really let it down. Which brings us to the ever-present question. Do you skip it, or is it unskippable?
For me, I would skip.
Yep, I'm sorry, Cameron, it's an easy skip for me. It's an easy skip.
I'm not as easy of a skip as Mike is here. I think there's only that one song that really lets it down for me, which is Skyline 2. That's the only song that really lets it down for me as an album as a whole. Yeah, I couldn't actively sit and listen to the entirety out of choice.
No, I couldn't. I would probably put Pink and White on by choice, and that is basically the only one. I don't mind Ivy. I think Solo's doing something interesting. I think, actually, to be fair, the reprise of it by Andre 3000 is an absolute highlight. And that feels the most damning thing I can say, is that one of the bits that I enjoyed the most was the bit where Frank Ocean wasn't present. And again, it's not to disparage him. It's just, that's what I liked. I liked something that was a bit more of an alarm call. And a lot of this album, I'm just going to rattle off the ones where I've got very little notes about each track. Literally, I have 2 notes for Self-Control. Alvin the Chipmunk is back, and I am falling asleep. And then my follow-up note on Good Guy is, I am fully asleep. There's just so much of this that I feel it's extra dressing on something that could have been a more focused thing, and it just isn't.
So do you feel like if, say, 2 or 3 songs were taken off this, then it could have been more in line with an Unskippable album.
I think there's an Unskippable EP in here. Again, it's not my genre. You have to take this with that pinch of salt. But if you'd have stuck, I think if you'd have stuck Ivy Pink and White solo, the solo reprise, maybe the back end of Pretty Sweet, and like a revised version of Siegfried that contains Godspeed and Futura Free in it, that would have been in contention. I hate Nikes. You'd have to nuke Nikes from fucking orbit for me to like this. And oh god, I can't do it. And the voice memo stuff, like, yeah, I guess there's a through line here, but it's not particularly lining up for me. Again, it is because it is this stream of consciousness, whilst at the same time trying to be so deliberate and focused that juxtaposition it does not work. And if you are going to do that, and if you are going to do something avant-garde, you better make sure the songs are more interesting than this. I'm very sorry, Cameron. It's fine, okay? It's an absolutely perfectly okay album, but you can skip 80% of it and still find the good stuff.
There we go, and I think that's a good place to round it off. However, just something a bit fun. I'm going to throw a track of the week in there.
Okay.
Something that I don't think you've ever listened to, which I'm going to try and surprise each other each week with something random.
Yep.
This week, my track is Eye to Eye by Magnolia Park, which is a cover of the hit Goofy film song Eye to Eye by Tevin Campbell.
What is
It's a pop punk cover, and I'm here for it. It is incredible, and it is a proper dancer.
Okay, what? When you pitched this idea of doing a track of the week, I didn't think we'd end up with a bit of Goof Troop nostalgia, but okay.
Goofy movie.
Oh, Goofy movie, sorry, not Goof Troop.
Great movie, great songs, and this cover brings it into the 21st century. I highly recommend to go and have a listen, have a little boogie, and see what you think. Okay,
fine, sure thing. We'd had our nuts tickled for a few weeks by a new anonymous band called President. Everybody's going, oh, it's another industry plant. If industry plants sound this good, then I'll open up the nursery. That's not a problem. I'll take all those seedlings. In the Name of the Father's a really good track, and I say that, and a lot of people will go, "Oh, it's the deathcore circle jerk again." I'm like, yeah, but if it feels good, I'ma take it. I like the screaming vocals from, I presume, the candidate. I don't know what this character's name is.
Call him Alan.
Alan, the presidential
Alan
candidate.
the president.
Alan the president. The screaming vocals are real great. I really like the kind of like the themes of that kind of like religious control and the lack of love in that kind of scenario. Again, I read far too much into things.
You really do.
But it's, again, I know it's another band that's all about the aesthetics, the bit that doesn't matter to the music.
But the mystery is what makes it.
Yeah, this is it.
The fact that you don't know who's there. It's like with Slipknot for all those years.
With this one, you do.
I mean, I think most people think they know who it is, but most people also didn't think this person was on The Masked Singer. So
yeah.
Even when they actually heard him perform and were like, no, it's definitely not him. It was.
Most people didn't know he had a rock band where he did do screaming previously, and
exactly.
You could just map them on top of each other. I think he's improved though.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think this is a lot better than the last album from previous band he was in.
Yeah.
It's
Charlie Simpson.
It's Charlie from Busted.
Yeah,
okay?
we think it's Charlie from Busted. And they have photoshopped one of the images in the music video to get rid of the gap in his teeth.
Oh, right, okay.
That's what they've tried to do. Or they've given veneers, one of the two. Great song, really like it, and it's giving me early thousands Slipknot. I like this.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bit of mystery.
It's good stuff.
It's good stuff, and I'm here for when the album drops. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope their first performance at Download goes well.
So thank you for listening to Skipped. And again, if you want your album, your truly unskippable albums to be evaluated and put on the chopping block by us, then send that over to skippedpod@gmail.com. That's SKIPD pod@gmail.com. We welcome your suggestions, and we thank you for listening. Take care. See you next time.
Bye.